if you are struggling with logistics, like your materials are never there on time, and you don't coordinate well with other trades, and you just on and off of job sites, and things aren't efficient logistically, don't do this because you're going to piss off your people because they're never going to make bonuses. So there's some things structurally. If you don't have digital time tracking, you need to go start tracking your team time somehow.
Chris G here. Yes, it's a Hard Hat CEO Thursday, and got a special guest today. And what we're going to talk about is company culture, which I think is very, very important, and then how they actually involved into that with the culture. Also, how to compensate your employees and keep them motivated. So, looking forward to that conversation. Please help me welcome Michael Fortinberry, all the way from New York. Michael, how you doing?
Chris, I'm good. It's good. It's happy Monday.
Oh, happy Monday to you.
Yeah.
What do we got going on here? So you still run a business, is that right? Construction business?
Yeah, we've got a construction company here in the city. Started off just doing painting, kind of simple stuff. We had kind of spun this out of a property where we all used to work. And when they wanted to kind of get their internal team and make it an external team, and so we stood up a small painting operation. And you got 15 guys, paint some apartments. It's fun. And we started growing. We started moving more towards the renovation side. And then we grew a lot. We started servicing other properties around the city. We had some experience in working in some of the really big multifamily properties. So that became our niche. And there's only so many companies that can do that, right? When you get
Sure.
50 apartments handed to you on a Monday, and they're all looking to get those back on Friday, and sometimes they need kitchens, sometimes they need paint. You just never know. So we got pretty good at getting our guys in. Big logistics effort. The construction itself's not all that hard, but the logistics around it of getting your materials there, making sure your guys are there, turning that unit quickly, and making sure it's right the first time, because then you got somebody moving in, right? So
Yeah.
if it's not done right the first time, now you're going back into an occupied space and trying to clean things up and fix things, and that's not efficient, not profitable. So efficiency, productivity, quality, we grew. We have 130 people, I think, in the field now.
Oh, wow.
Um,
The even with even though the apartment's not occupied, you still got to deal with other neighbors and so forth. And
Oh my gosh, yes. Dust control, sound mitigation. Oh, trust me, Mrs. Smith in the unit next door, she'll be on the phone with the mayor's office. You're not careful. They'll have 14 inspectors wandering through there. It's New York City. It's a vocal, litigious group. So
I can imagine. Did you always pick New York City? Have you always been there?
no, I've come from, I'm South. I just married a New York girl, so I'm kind of stuck here, I guess. But
I hear you.
it's, started a couple of companies here, so now I'm here, I suppose. But 11, 12 years now, I guess, in New York. I walk faster now than I used to. I know that. It's kind of a sign. So I can tell which way I'm going on the subway without having to look at the map. But,
Right.
I guess that makes me a New Yorker a little bit.
Labor cost, that's obviously, I mean, it's big for everybody, but I can imagine in New York it's very significant.
Yeah.
Um,
Some
how
of
do you
our,
manage that?
yeah, we do a lot of prevailing wage work now. So we've got on union wage cards, and we'll have painters that are kind of bringing in $83 an hour, I think 83 something an hour, between their wage and their fringe side. So yeah, when you're putting that much capital out every week, paying wages every week, you certainly got to make sure you get paid. When you've got 100 people and they're kind of averaging wages like that, and you're making that payroll every week, you've got to, look at your capitalization, make sure you're ready to absorb that. And you got to control costs, because you think, okay, well, it's good because obviously we're charging more for that work over to the city or whatever. But yeah, it can get out of control quick if those jobs start, get 10 extra hours in a job, you know, 80 bucks an hour. That's adding up quick.
Does the pay there based on longevity or is it based on performance?
Well,
How do you work that in?
so I mean, like any other, like a lot of guys listening out there, right? You're gonna, or girls, you're gonna somebody's going to walk in the office. Bob's going to come in. He's going to say, "Hey, I want your carpenter. You're hiring for a carpenter. I'm the best carpenter in New York." Well, all right, Bob, we're going to find out, because I know he wants $47 an hour and our base is starting at 40 or whatever. And Bob, our best carpenters make 60 because we're on our performance pay model. And I will share with you that when we're hiring, if Bob is not excited about that, if that doesn't make Bob go, "Wow, that's awesome because I truly am the best," we probably don't want to hire Bob, because there's this thing where when someone is truly good at what they do, they're a good carpenter, they're a good plumber, they're good at their trade. They have a lot of confidence that they can perform above and beyond their peer group. When you find that group, that's the group you want. What you have to be able to do, Chris, is connect that they actually make more money because of it. And what happened in our space, I was sharing with you that we needed to be done on these projects on schedule, right? Because it's very someone's moving in on Saturdays, we got to be done on Friday. But if I also had that quality thing, if I didn't get that job done right, it's going to cost me a lot to get back in there. Frustrated customer, frustrated resident. So I needed my employees to feel the same way. And what do they do? Bob comes in and says, "I need a raise." Okay, Bob, if I give you a raise, the only thing that happens is that my costs go up. I mean, you don't work any different if I just give you a raise. You don't produce more. So what we did, we said, look, I think it was our cabinets. We were taking about 10 hours on the clock to get these cabinets installed in these renovations we were doing, same ones over and over again. And I was like, man, if we can get you guys in and out there in 8 hours, like start to finish, you're out in 8 hours of work. That fits better with my schedule. I'm tighter on my schedule, it's better. And I'm like, I've got about $400 in labor. I said, guys, I'll give you the $400, but I need you done in the same day, right? And it's got to be right. And if it does, I'll just give you the whole $400. It turns out they can do it in about 6.5 hours when it's their money. And I'm like, wow, maybe I'm a bad manager. I don't know. So we start to talk to the employees about this. Like, what's different? Like, well, I don't know. It matters more now. It's you put this carrot out there, right? You dig into it, you realize that they've got another gear when they want to. It's funny thing is, it's not that they work faster. It's that they're also in the job site just neater, cleaner. It's they're communicating better. There's more teamwork. They make sure they got all the materials there in the morning, right? Because they can only do certain things so fast, but there's a lot of peripheral things that they can do that make them more efficient. And all they have to do is turn their brain on. Man, that brain comes on, they start thinking about this stuff like it's their money. So what we realized is if we could gamify it to where they felt like the labor budget was their money, they would treat it different. Because I hate to tell you, they don't care about your money, Chris. They care about their own money.
What?
They don't care. I'm sorry. They
That
don't.
sounds like a whole new episode. Okay.
They don't. They care about their own money. So let's make the labor budget their money. And then all of a sudden they bring ideas to the table. It's like, well, maybe if we do this instead of that first, we can be more efficient. Or please don't have Bob come back because he can't tell a level from a hammer. I don't know. Well, whatever, right? They start to think. They'll call Chris. They'll be like, "Chris, you were supposed to have that. The barn materials were supposed to be there this morning. They weren't there. You're costing us money, boss. What are you doing?" All right,
Yeah.
all right. I'll get my act together. I get it. All right, now I've got something building here. We're all on the same page. And in the root of underneath all that, what you're building is culture. What you're
Right.
building is a culture of performance where everybody wants to do better because we all make more money when that happens. That was our journey.
We're talking about profit sharing. Is that in a way you're giving the profit up earlier than later?
Yeah, I like profit sharing as a concept. In fact, I think a lot of our ideas anchored around that. The difference is profit sharing generally is paid much later, right? So a lot of times I'm
Right.
looking at, quarterly, even annually, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to share, hey guys, we're going to share our profit at the end of the year. I'm going to set aside 10% of our net. I'm going to split that out for the team or whatever.
Right.
The challenge with that is that hourly guys aren't thinking annually. They're not thinking quarterly. They're thinking about Friday. How much more am I going to make on Friday? If you want me to change my behavior on a random Tuesday in April, it can't be because I'm going to make an annual bonus. That doesn't work. I don't connect the behavior to that money. So what we learned is that if you really want to move behavior, which is the objective of a bonus program,
Yes.
that's the goal here. It's not sugarcoated. The goal is to get them
Nope.
to work different. Then I need there to be a muscle memory between I work differently and I earn more. I communicated better. I worked as a team. I got all my materials there in the morning. I skipped my job. My job was efficient. I did it right the first time, so I didn't have to go back. Right. If I do all those things, I made more. Right. I'm going to do that again because next week I'm going to make more. And the week after, I'm going to make more. Right. And that builds on itself over time. And so I like profit sharing as just a general construct. I find that performance-based wages tied to each job is more efficient at getting the behavior you want.
How do you, we talk about communication, that's probably a very important process of this.
Huge.
Management. So how's that all, how do you do all that?
Yeah. So originally we started off we would just tell them, right? We go to the job and we say, hey guys, we've got, $800 in labor in this. We've got $2,000 in labor, whatever the labor budget was, which we think should take you guys about 20 hours or 1 hour or 100 hours, whatever that was going to be.
Whatever. Yeah.
And then, so go, and then they would kind of work and at the end, they would come in and say, how did we do? Right. And because they didn't always know because we had their time data and we didn't have digital time tracking yet. Once we got digital time tracking, it was a little bit better, right? It was a little bit more accurate. But the real coup de grace was when we started showing them on their phone. We built a little app where they could take the time tracking data and actually see what the budget was and see what they've used and know what was left. And we found that the communication that needed to take place was the crew had to see the labor budget on their phone. And that's what we have today is they can see I've got 200 hours to do this work.
Yep.
And they know they've used 100 of them. They know they got 50% of their hours left. And we actually let them do a little percent complete calculator and say, okay, well, we're 60% of the way done. All right, well, how much money are you tracking to in terms of a bonus? And when they can see it with their eyes, it gets in their head. What I've learned a lot about what it takes to make an incentive program work at this point. And I find that simplicity is important. If you make it too complicated, they just lose them. I think it has to be very transparent. They have to actually see the number. You can't just tell them. It can't be on a spreadsheet in your controller's office. It's got to be on their phone so they can see it. They don't feel like you're hiding anything. And then the other part, it has to be somewhat frequent. We pay our bonuses weekly. It's about a month in arrears, but they're getting their bonuses with the regular check every week. So it's I know my behavior connected to this wage all the time. So we found we did those things. I guess the fourth would be integrated into your systems. So we integrated to time tracking now is a big thing. If you do that, then you've got a pretty repeatable process at that point that everybody can buy into. Then you've got to make it part of your culture, right? It's just a system at that point.
Right.
You got to talk about it. So I got to go up to Chris and be like, hey, Chris, how you guys doing on this job? Are you making any money on this? It's an interesting thing to say to your team. Imagine you got your 4 guys out there at the job site, you're a week into a 3-week job, and you're like, hey, do you think you guys are going to make any money on this job? Okay, that's different, because that's the way I think. Am I going to make any money on this job? I usually think that about a week into the job, right? I'm like, are we going to make money? We're going to finish, right? Or 99% of the way through my budget, and you're like, I feel like we've still got 20% left to do. It's like, well, what happened? That last 5% of the job that costs, 30% of your budget. So how do I get them to think about that all the way through and push to execute it to completion the right way? How do I hold them accountable to doing good quality work? Emphasize quality, emphasize efficiency. We all win. It's worked for us so far. We found, a couple hundred other companies now to do it, and it's working for them. And it's very trade agnostic too, which is interesting. We did this originally for, kind of the renovation type world, but
Sure.
And I've seen everything from landscapers to concrete to, we got a guy who has a service company up in Minnesota that he has a team of 100 scuba divers that dive the lakes up there in the summer, cutting the weeds off the bottom of the lakes that get around the docks. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well,
big
it
thing.
makes sense, I guess, but I wouldn't even thought of.
So, we got all kinds of people. If you got this hourly team in the field, and you're trying to figure out how do I connect their performance to what their hourly pay is terrible. Think about it. It's based on time.
Yeah.
It's not based
There's
on
no incentive. There's no incentive to do it shorter.
no, it's
I
just
mean,
it's
and
in
the more
fact
I work, the
work a
more
little
I'm going to
slower
get. And yeah.
and get to overtime, etc. That's
Mhm.
not how we make money. So I want to connect these things.
Certainly. Was it a hard buy-in or a hard sell to your guys or people? And it'd be guys.
So it didn't move the needle until they understood, until we kind of checked those boxes, simplicity, transparency.
Yeah.
Then once they could see it, they moved the needle really fast, actually. What's interesting, it moved the needle almost on the first job. Because as soon as they're like, it's almost like you leave the room and they all go, wait a second, guys, let's go get this job done. Let's get knock this out. We're gonna make some money. That
That's
guy does
right.
no idea what he
Mm.
just did. 20 minutes later, they're like, done, boss.
It was
He's
like,
like, what? Supposed to be here for
what?
a week. Oh yeah, well, it's our money now. So I actually got a carpenter on video saying the quiet part out loud, where he said, his name's Frank. He said, oh yeah, my approach to quality really changed when we started that propay thing because, it cost me too much money to go back. I was like, well, welcome to our world, Frank.
That's right.
That's it. And so they want to do it right because they don't want to have to go back on the rework, cost them money in their bonus.
Now, let's talk it from an owner's point of view.
Yes, sir.
And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they're doing it faster. I'm not making any more on the job by them doing it better. But since they're more efficient than when I originally planned, I get more volume in the month.
Get
Is
more
it kind
volume
of
in
the,
the month. There's a couple of needles you can actually move. You put on your CFO hat. First is
Mhm.
most of our clients actually share the savings with their team. So they're usually it's like a 75-25 split or something. It's pretty generous towards the guys. We encourage that. Some are
Sure.
100% to the team. It's fine. In the end, I bet, in fact, this is an easy bet. I bet any amount of money you want. If I went to any contractor out there and said, I've got a magic wand, I'm going to guarantee you hit your labor budget for the rest of your career, everybody would take that. I don't need to beat it. I want to hit it forever because that's what we bid it for. My variable is always not always, but mostly always my labor costs. That's
Mm,
what I usually get. If I'm going to get something wrong, that's generally what I'm
sure.
getting wrong. And it's biggest variation for almost all of us. So if I can stabilize that and get less variety in it, I'm going to run a better GP on average. I'm certainly going to run a better net when it's all said and done because I've got a stable number. I just want it to be more consistent. Sometimes we're still going to go over. Look, it's construction, stuff happens. You may not have your job where you just crush it and you keep all this extra profit because now you're sharing that with your team. So dial in your estimating and you'll find an opportunity there to run a more consistent financial performance on your jobs. And I do like the fact that we can get more done with a smaller team. Because if you've got 8 people in the field, there's one of those guys you really want to get rid of. You just can't because you're kind of busy and you can't hire anybody else. So it's hard to find people. But if you could do the same work with 7, I promise you're firing Bob because you always want to get rid of Bob. You kind of need Bob and because he's a body at the moment. You need another
Mhm.
body at the job site. What if you didn't? In fact, your employees will come in and say, please fire Bob. We got it. We got it, boss. We're going to knock this out. So we can stand this barn up in 2 days instead of a
Yeah.
week. I don't know, whatever. I don't know how long it takes to stand up a barn.
Well, I was going to go to that Bob thing. What happens when you don't hit? I mean, it takes a little bit longer than you expected.
Sure. Well,
Nobody's fault, but it just happens.
look, it happens. And what I do want is I want the team at least trying to get there. If it's not going
Mhm.
to happen, look, they make their base wage. So they don't go below, they don't go below their base. They make $30 an hour, they're making $30 an hour.
Sure.
The difference is the owner can go below zero, right? I mean, that's the upside and downside of, we can go way up, we can go way down. They don't go that far down. So they're still protected somewhat. And that's what they're making today. So look, you're making $30 today, you're still going to make $30 an hour or whatever. That's fine. And what we do though is most of our clients roll their jobs together for that week, for that month, whatever, and pay on the net. So look, you got 3 jobs this month. You do really well on these 2. We got behind on this one. The net we did for the month is X. That's what goes on your bonus statement. So, and companies run this in pretty wide range of models. Some companies are doing 30, jobs in a week or 400 jobs in a week, and some companies do 4 jobs a year. So it kind of depends on the structure of the type of work you do, the type of trade it is, your cycle times, your jobs, how many people you have on these projects. Pretty wide variety, and our system can operate in kind of all of those modes, if you would.
That kind of answers my next question. I think what I was going to talking about quality and then having to go back.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they go back, you're paying them to go back, but obviously it's coming out of their net.
Coming out of the net. That's right.
Yeah.
Coming out of the net. And that's a really important part of launching a performance pay model, whether you use our software or just on your own, is that you need to hold them accountable to the quality side. This is not about rushing. And they need to understand that from day one. If you guys rush, no, your whole team is going to lose the bonus, right? So what happens is that if Bob's doing something incorrectly, I feel bad for Bob because I'm always blaming him for everything.
Yeah.
So if Bob is doing something incorrectly, like Bob, that's not square, that not lined up right, you didn't put that second coat of paint back, or whatever the thing is, you want his teammates to hold Bob accountable because they think it's their money. We're gonna have to come fix it. It's just gonna cost us money if we don't do this right. If you keep carrying 1 2x4 at a time from one side to the other, we're never going to get this thing done. Like, let's go. You need people, your job site's a mess. We, tripping over each other. Let's get this thing organized, be more efficient. You need them to do that with each other, not just when your project manager swings by, to gripe about something or to complain to them, yell at them about something. I want management around quality and efficiency and safety and all these things to come intra-team, not just from supervision.
It's peer pressure on the positive side.
I like peer pressure. It is a powerful thing. They can say stuff to each other that we don't know really.
That's right there.
Right? I mean, they will let each other have it. They're peers, and they're actually a little accountable to their peers when it comes to money. Like your peers will tell you. And we encourage our clients to be ready for a level of employee conflict, because if you have underperformers, it doesn't really matter to them as much now, but it will begin to. So lean into that, clean up your mess, and then you've got a more efficient team that's working better together.
Now, you mentioned project manager is one thing. Do you have what I call working foreman, people there that are on site that are responsible for the rest of the crew?
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen this work. People use our platform a few different ways. They'll run this with their working crew leads, who maybe they make a little bit different amount of the bonus or whatever. Then you'll have project managers. This way we even did it. This way we still to this day do it in our own company. Our working crew leads are in the bonus pool with everybody else at a little different higher rate. And then our PMs are on a separate, in our company, we actually just put them on a gross profit based incentive. They got materials and some other stuff that they have to deal with and accountable to.
Integration. So is your software, it's a software, I assume, right?
Yes, sir. It is now.
It is now. Oh, sure. And you started out on paper, or how are you
doing it ourselves on a spreadsheet, and it didn't handle things at scale, right? It's one thing you can do this on a spreadsheet if you've got 4 people. You get 40 and they're on different jobs, moving between jobs, different wage rates, cross pay periods. It just gets complicated. And there's some legal things you have to do in what the Department of Labor calls a non-discretionary bonus program, which most of your bonuses are. So there's some ways you have to handle OT and some stuff like that our software handles for clients. But we developed Protiv to kind of handle this at scale, and integrations are a big part of it. So if you're on Buildertrend or Procore or Jobber or all these different landscaping platforms, and there's tons of ServiceTitan, all these different tools that are out there, we integrate our system into those. So we pull your jobs and your time data, et cetera, automatically. Keep the administrative part smaller.
On average, how much you think increased the employees' income?
So right now we're at 11%. With something we track pretty closely. Average productivity lift about 14%. And that's across trades. And it varies a lot between trades. We'll see some very labor-intensive trades, roofing, painting, some parts of landscaping, cleaning is really high. They get these big jumps in productivity, high double digits. The cleaning companies are seeing 30% production lifts. They get a whole different gear when they want to. Then you see some trades, like we have some commercial electricians. These guys
Yeah.
are going to go 20% faster, but they'll go 8% faster, 9% faster. And
Sure.
so it's kind of a range. It depends on how well managed they are today. Kind of depends on how efficient the company is overall, how tight your estimates are. So, how skilled your team is. There's a few different things that play into it. I encourage people, make sure you've got a few things buttoned up before you go down this road. Like if your estimating is a wreck and you're still trying to figure out how to even bid jobs, don't do this. Like you're probably going to
It's
make it worse.
not fair to anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you are struggling with logistics, like your materials are never there on time, and you don't coordinate well with other trades, and you just on and off of job sites, and things aren't efficient logistically, don't do this, because you're going to piss off your people because they're never going to make bonuses. So there's some things structurally. If you don't have digital time tracking, you need to go start tracking your team time somehow, because you're just leaving money on the table with that. You need to know for job costing what you're actually spending, because they don't work exactly 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. That's the only time I know specifically they don't work. There's some other amount of time that they're actually at the job site. You need to know exactly how much, so you get your job costing right. So if your job costing is dialed in, pretty decent estimating, you've mostly got your operations under control, and you start to say the word culture in a sentence from time to time, start to look at things like performance pay.
So it's more of get those other softwares we talked about, get them working for you.
Yeah, you
Get them
need
dialed
something
in.
in place. Yeah, because if you're
Yeah.
not at that point yet, you still got other structural things you need to layer into your company to facilitate growth. And if you're at 4 or 5 people and you're still kind of working your way up to that scale, you're getting off of the job site for the first time, you got a bunch of pieces you need to layer in first. And we believe as soon as you start to think about, okay, what kind of culture do I want to have, then something like performance pay becomes really important, assuming that that's an authentic way you view the world. And that's one of the things that's really important for contractors to understand, that somebody we think company culture is some soft and fuzzy thing. My dad had company culture, and his is very cultural. Like, get to work and stop complaining. Like, that's his culture. That was it worked for him. He's an electrician, right? It is cultural, all right. Get it right or else. And so however you lead your team as a CEO and as a founder of a construction company, you need to be authentic to that through the way you operate, through the way you communicate with your team, because it's not sustainable to fake it. And so if you are gonna be super hard, dictatorial, whatever, all right, dude, be genuine to that. That's who you are. If you'd say, no, we're actually people first and warm and fuzzy and bunny rabbits and whatever, okay, that's cool, but you got to truly be that. Whatever culture you're going to have, whatever the way you want your team to think about the personality of your company, it needs to be who you are, because it's got to sustain itself in all the aspects of the way you run your business, or your team will see through it. And then you get people who just don't believe what you're saying anymore, right? And that just erodes from underneath. If people are having conversations about you behind you, they're not positive, because you're not genuine to how you communicate, operate, etc. So be authentic to who you are as a leader, and you can create a good foundation on which to build. And there's some great companies out there that run very well and make a lot of money for their employees and their owners, that are very discipline centric. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say that. And okay, cool, we'll do that, but decide who you are. Be that.
Have you found that, it's I've heard that it's hard to find good help these days, but have you found that people who, what do I say, either friends of your current employees or people who they know they get paid performance will seek you out
Yeah,
versus you had to go out and find somebody?
yeah, it's a secret power for us at this point. The word's out. We get a lot of applications at this point, because word spreads. He's a tile guy in New York. He knows 10 more guys who are tile guys. And he's like, wait a second, what do you mean you get bonuses on your jobs? I don't get a
Yeah.
bonus on my job. He's like, yeah, and I bet today we're pretty dialed in. I bet 60% of our jobs end up paying a bonus, maybe 70. We're really dialed in right in that our estimate's pretty tight. And,
Yeah.
so guys, wait a second, you tell me over half the time you work on a job, you get a bonus on top, and you make the same wage I do in base? Like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Where do I sign up for that? So they come in. The thing is, they won't last if they can't really do it because people don't want them on their team.
They like the idea, but they don't really
You
have
got to
the.
be able to do it. You got it because you're going to work harder. And
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that, whether it's that 45-minute, lazy wander around Home Depot while you're looking for a 1 2x4, and it's like, actually, you don't want to do that. You want to get back to the job site because everybody's waiting for you and they know you're gone now.
Mm-hmm.
3 people don't go to Home Depot anymore to pick up that 1 2x4, right? We had this landscaper who told me a pretty good story about launching this. He had his office was right down the street from his shop. And they were supposed to be in the office, his shop at 7, out the door by 7:30. So he said, usually by 8, he comes from his office over to the shop to kick out the stragglers who were still there at 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
He said about a week, he said maybe even a week, it's less than a week after he started on this kind of performance pay thing, he kind of went down to the shop at 8 and there's nobody there. The next day he got down there 7:45, there's nobody there. 7:30, there's nobody there. They're out of there by like 7:10. He said in 10 minutes they've got their trucks loaded and they're gone. He said they're like racing out and they're all done at 2 o'clock. He says, I got rid of one crew, that was not my best crew, put all the extra locations onto those crews. Now everybody's making more money. Everybody's happy. They're still done on time. So still working their 40 hours, but they're all averaging, 20% more than they were making before. Everybody's super excited. He said, because all this is their money. It was crazy. Like it happened the first week. Like as soon as we went down this road, because these guys can do math. They can do math when it comes to making money. They can't measure for shit, but they can make money when they can do that math.
Well, they got the app on their phone telling them what they're going to get for them, doing some of the math for them.
I love it. And I like the fact that I want my team to make more money. I care about these people. It's like they're our family. Some of these guys worked for us for a long time now. And I want them to be able to do things for their family and make a bit more. That's a very human thing to care about. And when we can take care of our team, truly putting them first, everybody says that, right? Put your people first kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. No, really doing that, help these guys make more money.
Put your money where your mouth is type thing. Yeah.
I make money. If you guys get these jobs done on time, I'm making money. I am. I want now you're going to make more. Awesome. We're all winning.
Once you get a new guy on your crew, you have to do any training, or is the crews kind of training for them? Or you?
A little bit. We want them from a training on the performance-based system. We actually always want to make sure people understand it because there's money involved, and I want them to feel comfortable that nobody's hiding the money somewhere, right? Sure. So we are pretty clear about explaining them how the system works, and it's right on their phone. They can track every job they're on, exactly the time it's there, so it's very transparent. You have to be comfortable about sharing your labor budgets with everybody because everybody sees it.
Right.
Show them your GP. You don't have to show them your net or G&A or anything or margins, but you need to show them the labor budget. So we're showing them labor budgets. We talk to them about that. And we talk to them about goal setting as a team. We make sure they understand that you guys get to the job, normal size, you're on a job for a day or a month or whatever, set a goal as a team. It's very important. So we encourage everybody to talk about that, and so what do you guys want to get this done in? Put that into the app. All right, now you got a goal. We want to make $500 bonus. Okay, go get it, and then track how you're doing. So crew leads, it's real important that they get comfortable looking at that once a day, tracking how they're doing, communicating with the team. Guys, we're on track to make $100. Guys, we're actually behind. We're not going to get a bonus on this. We got to pick it up. What can we do? That conversation taking place exclusive and outside of just because your PM is there, it's powerful.
Before we wrap up, I'm guessing you get suggestions now that you didn't before on how to improve.
Some are. Yeah.
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 Got any stories about that?
Sometimes they all think they just had a new truck, it'd be fine. Truck's a problem. The truck's a mess. Like it's a mess because you crash it into a tree every third day. you know, that's why it's all beat up. They will have ideas on equipment and tools.
Yeah.
And I tend to be pretty supportive of a lot of that if it's not stupid, it's like,
Sure.
okay, I get you guys want to try this and you're tired of running the power cord for that, thing or whatever, fine, we'll get you the battery version of it. You think it's one less thing to haul? Okay, well, I'm open to ideas here.
Sure.
I think a lot of their recommendations come, look at they, I think our estimate could be a little higher. Well, I think our estimate's just about right. They start to think, okay, we can make more money. So
Yeah.
they'll have opinions on your estimating sometime. And sometimes it's because the estimate's wrong. And they're like, who bid this? Okay. I want them to come in my office and tell me when we did something wrong as a company that cost them money at the job site. And that's a hard conversation, Chris. I mean, you have to think about it. They're frustrated because we didn't get the materials there and they didn't finish. They were doing great and then we screwed up and now they're behind. And your team is upset. What's
Yeah.
interesting is a lot of people will be like, well, should I pay him the bonus anyway? I'm like, no, that's the price, dude. That's the deal. That is the deal we're making. If we all do better, we all do better. If I screw up, none of us are doing as well. If I don't get a permit in time and we're held up for a bunch of days, then I'm sorry, guys, we're not making any money on this job. That's construction. Welcome to the real world of construction. It is not a time-based job. It's not time. We're not being paid on time anymore. We're being paid on what we get done. And that means I've got to do my part. Y'all got to do your part. The weather's got to cooperate. The permit, the inspector's got to get out of there and sign off on my stuff, and everything's got to happen. Then we make more money.
We can learn from those mistakes.
We do every time.
I mean,
and we're hearing about it now.
oh yeah, you're hearing about them even more
They'll
now.
give an answer too. They'll come and say, well, we make sure this is not done next time. Absolutely. How are we going to do that? All right. That's good. I like that conversation.
Those are good conversations to have. How can we become better so that doesn't happen again?
I want my team to care. I want to care about them. That's when we're winning.
Now, Michael, we talked a lot, but we haven't mentioned the name of your program.
Yeah, Protiv is, so we spun out the software a couple of years now, and Protiv, Protiv, we help other companies do the same thing now with this, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot different. I'll share with you, Chris, building a software company versus a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
But we work with contractors all day, so it's still, still keeps us in that world. And we found that companies are trying to get down this road or looking to build a really cool performance culture in their company. We can help. And so we've got little companies with a handful of people. We've got some big giant companies with hundreds and hundreds of people in the field. Love it. And we've got people who do small jobs where they're in and out of jobs. Landscapers doing 12 jobs in one day, mowing Miss Smith's grass and done. We've got companies do one job takes 2 years. So variety of different types of trades and work, but the program has been a lot of fun to build, been fun helping companies be successful with it. And anybody who's interested in whether you use our software or just interested in how you get down this road on your own through a spreadsheet, I'm happy to tell you how to do it. So give me any of them are welcome to give me a call, drop me an email.
In the show notes, we'll put a link to, you put a link to your LinkedIn or to
Protiv.com. Protiv.com is great. And my email is michael@protiv.com. Super easy to reach me, and always happy to help folks. Even if you just got questions about, the idea of this, even if you're not even ready for something, you're just trying to figure out, oh, how do I get my job costing under control? Okay. I'm happy to point you in those directions too. If I've done this a couple of times now. So if you're wondering, how do you scale? How do you grow? I do a lot of free business coaching on the side as we're helping people solve these problems.
awesome interview. Thank you very much, Michael. And as always, down in the show notes, if you like stuff that we talked about and want to get rid of your hard hat, go to hardhatceo.com, and that's down in the show notes as well. And as always, we have our Facebook group, Hard Hat CEO. Michael, thank you very much.
Chris, God bless you. Really appreciate you, and we'll talk again. Take care.
Excellent. This has been great. Bye-bye.